Everyone, it's that time of the year again. Another Daniel Larson phone call. All these phone calls has been giving my character gray hair. Oh, it's just the most lovely time to hear Daniel talk and yell about everybody that's just doing him wrong. Mainly Bob. He just keeps catching these strays, even though Bob's really not in the picture anymore. But in this video, this phone call was from Little Sippy again. This was 11/23/2024. And our boy Daniel is just getting frustrated that he's not going to get moved. So if he's not going to get moved, which he could still get moved because in January, his lawyer, because he's really in contact now with his lawyer, the lawyer's saying that, hey, you're probably going to be getting out in January if you are not moved by the end of December, which then they will drop the case. Well, Daniel's like, well, if I'm not going to get moved, they better move me now. And it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. They're probably, maybe getting more evidence. We don't know. But this was his phone call. He does go on and say that he's been listening to Grace's songs and they're Romeo and Juliet, star-crossed lovers. They can't be together because there's so many mean people trying to keep him away, keep him in jail, and all Grace wants to do is be with Daniel, and that's what her songs are saying to him, and let's be real, that's not the case there, Chief. Then his lawyer goes on and says, hey, Danny, don't talk to these people anymore, Little Sippy, Griffin, and, try not to speak with them anymore. And Daniel's like, how can they say that to me? These are my people. These are like my friends and family. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. It's a doozy. It's another Daniel being frustrated video.
Daniel Larson.
This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. To accept this call, press 5. You may begin speaking now.
Hello?
Hey, so I got the songbook.
Is it good? I don't know what it's about. You like it?
Yeah, no, it's great. But there is a issue I also found out, and I was able to fully verify with evidence.
What's that?
So, we already know, right, that Tina, right,
Yeah.
is lying. She's been in contact with me, the Vanderwall Studio accounts I've been in contact with. So she's lying about almost everything.
Yeah.
Another thing that I found out is if you listen to a lot of Grace's songs,
They're about you.
they're 100% about me.
Yeah.
Like every single song. Without me, her career would be going down the drain.
Yeah.
And not only that, with Tina being completely not helpful right now, it's only making things worse. And I think I figured out why my public defender is saying that Grace is out of the picture and everything.
Why
And
is that?
it's serious.
Test. It was nice of Little Sippy to get Daniel some entertainment after Daniel broke his iPad. I think they gave him in the last phone call. Daniel was saying he got an iPad and it broke, and that was his only source of entertainment. So it's nice that Little Sippy is giving Daniel a book to read poetry. Just kind of a nice little gesture. Daniel is claiming that without him, Grace would not have a career, which is really funny because Daniel found Grace on America's Got Talent or something like that, like a singing show. I'm pretty sure Grace would have had a future without Daniel, and she would still be doing fine. But Daniel does talk about Tina and thinks that Tina is not helping him again. It's a complete song and dance like all of his other phone calls, where he's thinking that everybody is supposed to help him out, that they're all lying to him and they're all in cahoots about something that doesn't involve Daniel. And Daniel's getting mad. He doesn't want to be sitting in jail anymore or anything like that.
I think I figured out why my public defender is saying that Grace is out of the picture and everything.
Why is that?
It's serious.
Why is he saying that?
So, first of all, I was looking at the lyrics. More direct, okay?
Okay.
And it is, she's actually in a couple of her songs mentioning there was a picture of me, okay, that was videotaped, well, not really videotaped, but I guess taken a picture of. Well, I was in the shower, and it got leaked over the internet. Okay, it's one picture, and it was taken behind my back by a person in my disability housing, and I was fully nude.
Yeah.
At that point, Grace was underaged back then.
Okay.
Now, because it got leaked to the internet, Grace, around that time, and I were planning on going on tour. We were talking about going on tour. We weren't actually serious or even talking about a relationship. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But Grace saw the picture of me, right? And I guess her mother misinterpreted that video. Okay?
How did her mother interpret it?
She thought that I was into, I guess, children and was a pedophile. But the thing is, that was never the case.
So Daniel is talking about a photo that somebody in one of his group homes was or has taken of him, and it was him being nude, as he said, and apparently there was, or I should say allegedly, that there was a picture of Grace somewhere, and this of her being underage, and this made Daniel look like a PDF file, which, I mean, she was underage at this point, kind of given, but apparently Tina saw this photo and now thinks that Daniel is a PDF file, and Daniel's like, that's not the case, and he thinks that this photo is scaring Grace away from him, and I don't really think that's the case. I don't think anybody thinks that.
Okay, so then, right, so this was way back in like 2020, okay? In 2022, Tina reached out to me and said, stop talking to Grace. Or stop talking to the people claiming to be Grace. It's not Grace. And that was the video, or that was the time, right, in 2022, where in my legal discovery, I said to Tina, which Tina is lying in my legal discovery, but I told Tina that day when Grace was at her family's, or at her mother's or something, and Tina denies that Grace was in contact. Mm-hmm. Tina contacted Grace because she was sitting right next to her, right, on the couch or something, and Grace admitted to being in contact with me all along, behind Tina's back.
Yeah.
See what I mean? This was in 2020. 2022. Mm-hmm. This was in 2022.
Yeah.
And when this was going on, that's when Tina got involved, was in 2022.
Yeah.
There was never supposed to be anything sexually related other than in 2022 when Tina started getting serious about looking at houses in Colorado.
I don't really think that's it, Chief. I don't really think that... I truly think Daniel was still in contact with trolls at this point in time, and it wasn't really the real Tina and Grace at this point. It's just that Daniel's delusions of Grace and this whole fantasy of that he has, that he's talking with her, she wants to be with him, is just a fabrication from trolls, and I don't think Daniel will ever see that. I think the only good thing that little Sippy did in these phone calls, well, the first two, was to say, hey man, you should really stop talking and thinking about Grace, the Vanderwalts, because they're not really real in this case. It's everything that Daniel is hearing is either something from Griffin or he's remembering from the trolls, and somehow some kind of legal evidence matches up and he's like, oh, that's it right there, man, that's it. And it's just sad to see, because we're just seeing this guy, his whole delusions that he's been trolled about and everything else, like, out in the open now. Like, it's just really sad to see his downfall, and it's like, you're not talking to the real Grace. She doesn't want to be with you. The real Tina did reach out and say, hey, knock it off. Don't talk about my daughter. Don't talk about us anymore.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So, at that point, the relationship was, at some point around there, confirmed. You see what I mean? My biological father lied to me as well, saying that he was not in contact with Grace when he was. And Bob also told me...
This call is from a federal prison.
Bob told me he was not in contact with Griffin or Tina at the time. But yet, Griffin and Tina both told me on Vanderwall Studios' account, Tina told me that she was in contact with Bob.
It ain't a Daniel Larson video without mentioning Bob and how Bob has screwed him over. I'm so excited. But no, it's crazy how Daniel is thinking that all these people are lying to him and are trying to like pull one over on him. It's kind of just really weird to see. And for him to like think that Bob would have any kind of or like other motives than trying to help Daniel like he's been doing the whole entire time is just crazy to me.
So what are all these people's motives for lying to you?
So that's what I'm trying to figure out, is never once, just because I had pictures of models and stuff on my phone, and Grace wanted me to talent scout for her, and I guess her modeling or whatever she wanted to do, I don't fucking know, but she wanted me to become a talent scout for Interscope Records at some point. And somewhere along in there is when I started going through social media as a talent scout looking for other artists.
Yeah.
Never once was it anything sexual. But because of the picture, right, back in 2020 that got leaked to social media, ever since then, I've been a victim of sexual assaults.
Yeah.
On the streets, other people are coming up to me just in general trying to say, hey, you're a pedophile. Never once was I.
Yeah, they're just
See
trying
what
to,
I mean?
they're trying to frame you.
They're trying to frame me now.
Pause a minute. Hang on a sec. I am just so confused. I think it's funny. So first off, I should say, Grace allegedly told Daniel that she wanted him to be a talent scout, which would never happen because a homeless person in Colorado that is unstable half the time to scout for you and your talent, your company, is just insane. And second, Daniel's saying that he has all these pictures of models on his phone. Everybody's trying to make him out to be a PDF file. I mean, pal, you kind of did it yourself, and that's why people have that impression of you. But there was just like, hang on a second, like, what is he going off about now?
And Tina, I think, because Tina did talk to the FBI, there is proof of that. And Griffin, I believe that the FBI is just lying to them without the full verification. And I was also, on top of that, somewhere in like the first or second interview I had with the FBI, I was framed to admit to somebody claiming to be Tina. I don't think it was, but it might have been, where I actually admitted that I was. Because I was asked like 5 or 6 times in a row, I just kind of gave up and I started like saying, whatever. You know what I mean? Because I was asked so many times.
Yeah, you were coerced into it.
Coerced, exactly. So this entire thing is coercion. And because of my autism, you see what I mean? Because I don't know if I have autism, but I think I do somewhere, or who knows, it might just be trauma from everything. I don't fucking know. But you see what I mean is because I was asked like 6 or 7 times, even when I asked the FBI stop asking because it's not true, they continued to ask me, and I ended up straight up just saying, yeah, no, it happened.
Yeah, they're trying
Never
to
want,
you.
right. And then if Tina, and my problem is if Tina actually somehow got a hold of that information, now Tina's like, okay, now this entire situation with my daughter, I'm not going to allow.
So Daniel just admitted that he was coerced into saying this, and that he was just trying to get, I guess, the feds off his back, which I don't know why he didn't tell his lawyer this, and he's telling little Sippy. I just think that's a really bad play on Daniel's part, because if he was smart about that and that actually happened, because we don't know, it's Daniel. It could have been just as simple as like, hey Daniel, how are you? And the feds like talking like that to him just to gauge his mental. Because I highly doubt that the feds told Daniel and coerced him into saying anything that was not true, or made him say anything at that point, because we all know that they're still trying to put him into a mental institution.
Now she's trying to use it against you.
This call is from a federal prison.
Use it against you and use it to blackmail you?
In a way, yes. And what she needs to end up knowing is none of that is true. Everything was coerced by the FBI and Secret Service. They were asking me so many times, even after I asked them to stop. I had nobody with me because I was homeless to step in and just say, look, this needs to stop. This is turning into harassment. And that's why I was going on social media saying, look, Daniel McDougal, or Daniel McDougall, whatever his name is, was harassing me and was putting out misinformation. And I have every single right to be concerned about that and to be scared.
Yeah.
And nowadays it seems like in society we cannot ask for help, because when I asked for help, they accused me of what I was asking for help with.
I really feel that Daniel is really missing the point of when he did ask for help, people did try to get him help. It was that Daniel would throw fits when he couldn't talk about Grace, or he couldn't go on TikTok and post videos. The whole situation with Bob is a great one, where Bob had to kick Daniel out of the, living situation that he was in, that he was placed into with Bob, and all Bob tried to do was help him get some help. But no, Daniel used and abused that, yelled at Bob, saying Bob was abusing him, and he's still doing it to this day, even in prison.
They turned it around on me.
Yeah.
And now I can see Tina's point. They could go bankrupt if you really think about it. They could go straight up bankrupt in lawsuits at this point, because there's so much that has happened.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. It sounds like you need to sue the FBI.
And that's going to be very, very difficult to do. Very, very difficult. And not only that, another thing I found out, Griffin told me he wants to have me out by Christmas. But my public defender is saying, don't talk to Griffin, don't talk to you, whatever. Tina, we already know, is saying that. But here's the thing. In January, my public defender is saying if I'm not transferred, he's going to drop the case.
Yeah, that much is true. I know that.
That much is true. The thing is, if they're going to drop the case, then they can't even transfer me. That means they don't have a case to begin with, which means they can't transfer me as long as I'm still in custody.
First off, I don't think that the Vanderwalts will go bankrupt because of Daniel and what the FBI did. So I think they're fine. Coming from my opinion, I think they will be fine. But Daniel thinking of suing the FBI for doing all of this to him is a wild statement. Daniel does, in my opinion, doesn't have a case. I wonder why he doesn't have a case. Goes on to his next point of Griffin is saying that, he could probably get out by like Christmas, but the public defender's like, hey, you're probably going to be getting out in January. They're going to be dropping the case then if they don't move you by then, which is more than likely going to happen. Like, I would believe the public defender more than Griffin at this point, because Griffin keeps saying every other month that, you're going to get out this month, you're going to get out the next month. If the public defender is saying he's going to probably get out in January, if they don't have a case against him, then I'm going to go with the public defender on this one. It's no contest.
The only thing they could do is outpatient, which means I should be able to walk out this door today. And of course, I'm not going to do that because I'm in custody. That would be like running away from or escape. So I'm not going to do that. But I'm just saying that if that is really true, that they're planning on dropping the case in January, if I'm not transferred, I am not going to be transferred, and the case is going to be dropped. See what I mean?
Yeah, hopefully you don't get transferred.
Well, the thing is, the way I'm looking at it is they cannot legally transfer me. Because you have to know, see what I mean, what drop the case means. Drop the case means I'm not going to trial, I'm innocent. They can only keep me in custody and transfer me to another facility where I'm going to be in custody if they can find me guilty. And they can't, because they're saying that they are dropping the case in January if I'm not transferred.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny that Daniel is lecturing us of, like, you guys don't know what it means when the case is dropped. I think that's so funny, coming from the guy who couldn't get in contact with his lawyer for, about a month or and a half? I think the point of Daniel saying that they can do outpatient, I think at this point, they're trying to think of, and this is just all my opinion, it's speculation at this point, but I think what's going to probably happen is they might do this outpatient where everybody in the case is like, listen, this guy, he's gone, he's a goner. I think it's just better if we do a rehabilitation outside, don't put this guy in jail, just get the help that he needs, and they'll do it that way. But I do think they might do it in a way where Daniel will be in a home and away from stuff, kind of like a Chris Chan. I think it's going to go through like the Chris Chan route, what happened when Chris Chan was the prison, in Chris Chan's prison saga, where they just released Chris and Chris went to like a group home. I think that's the same thing they're going to do with Daniel. I think that that's what's going to happen with him. He's just going to go to this group home and probably going to have an ultimatum of you can't get kicked out or you're going back to jail, and we have to do actual proceeding with this case. So I think that's where this route is going to go down.
That makes no sense from their point of view.
Oh, it's something weird going on. There's something
very, very weird. And then my public defender is saying, as well as Tina, don't talk to your fans, don't talk to your friends, don't talk to Tina, don't talk to this. There is no proof anywhere where it says right now that I'm not allowed to.
Yeah,
I have rights where I can contact friends and family. They're trying to go against my legal rights.
They're trying to violate your rights. They even said don't talk to Bob, right? And you've known Bob for how many years?
Bob's still not answering, and I'm to a point after I've asked him repeatedly to help, and he's refused as well. I don't want anything to do with him anymore.
Not surprised that his lawyers is telling Daniel to stay away and not talk to these people. FBI, the lawyers, all had to go through questioning, and for sure they found out that Grace and Tina had nothing to do with this. The real ones, it was trolls. They probably saw Daniel's troll history, and they're like, hey, he needs to stop talking to these people because this is why we got into this mess. But Daniel isn't putting two and two together yet to figure out that, hey, these people aren't who they say they are. Now, poor Bob. Bob is, like I said before, always in the middle of this. Man cannot catch break. This man is catching strays, and he's not even in the picture.
Yeah.
The only issue is I kind of feel after reading Grace's songs and everything and just listening to everything, because I've listened to her songs forever, but I'm just saying, after really listening to Grace's songs more, I really feel kind of the same way that Grace feels on a lot of things. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm concerned about the picture being leaked. That's not my fault.
It's kind of it's like a Romeo and Juliet situation. You want to be with Grace. Grace wants to be with you.
Well, she wants to be with me, but at the same time,
Tina's
because of that picture, right? But because of the picture that got leaked on the internet or whatever,
yeah,
she also can't get that out of her mind. She can't. You know what I mean? Because she was underage at that time.
Yeah.
So just watching me being homeless and watching me struggle in life is really, in my opinion, what's bringing her into everything and wanting to be with me.
Yeah, because she's going through the same stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's like Romeo and Juliet. She's tired of seeing me suffer, and that's turning into love. Yeah. Kind of like a victim and victim turning into victims loving each other.
Definitely.
That's not good.
Well, I would say as long as Grace wants to be with you, it's good.
I agree.
Yeah.
But at this point, I feel like I shouldn't be in custody anymore. If they're going to drop the case in January, if I'm not transferred, they should drop it now. But anyways, I gotta go because the phone's about to cut out.
I really don't think that Grace is making these songs for Daniel, really going through it without Danny Boy there. I don't think they're Romeo and Juliet at all. I just think Daniel is just hearing Grace sing and then goes, oh my gosh, this situation is just like mine. She is really going through it with me. She doesn't want to see me homeless anymore. She doesn't want to see me go through this. And it's like, no, Grace is just kind of singing songs and they have nothing to really do with you at this point. It's just a whole mess. And then Daniel saying that he just wants to drop the trial and everything dropped now because they're not going to move him. They might move him. They still have until December, so they might be just getting more evidence for this case. We don't really know. We don't know what they're really going to do or anything like that. But that was the latest Daniel Larson phone call. It's now becoming a broken record where Daniel is now very, very frustrated at everybody involved, and he just wants to get out and get back on the streets and get to Grace. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.